For his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas. Thank you, Chairman Gensler. Under Title VII, Congress took an appropriate step and provided an exemption from the major swap participant definition for pension funds. While this protected them from inappropriate regulation as MSPs, pension funds are included under the definition of financial entities. I'm concerned about the substantial cost this will impose on pension funds, especially from Illinois, and see the significant strain that our state and other states are feeling, and very concerned about the unfunded obligation that we're facing there. Chairman Gensler, my question is, can you commit to this committee that in the rules that will impact pension funds and their trading relationships, the CFTC will take every precaution not to impose significant and additional new costs on pension funds?
Well, I think that when we look at all the rules, if I can expand it past pension funds, we take seriously the guidance from this Congress about cost-benefit analysis. Pension funds, I don't believe that there's a pension fund that's come in after we proposed the rules that say that they're going to be a major swap participant. So I'm not aware there. But please, I look forward to continuing the dialogue. If you know of some, we want to know and see if what we need to do there in the major swap participant. But more broadly, I think your question is to ensure that pension funds get the benefit of the transparency in these markets. Pension funds, some of them were the ones that asked us to look at that earlier issue that Congressman Scott asked about too. So we're working and listening to a lot of pension funds who want transparency and issues to resolve for their benefit in this marketplace.
So pretty much to answer the question, you don't see any additional cost that you would expect from the rulemaking, from the decisions that you'll be making that will impact pension funds?
Well, I think that pension funds are going to benefit from the additional transparency, the safeguards in clearing, the safeguards in segregation of their funds. I don't know if we'll come out with individual or commingled or that other issue. I don't know of any pension fund that will be a dealer or a major swap participant. Again, if there is one, I'm sure by saying this, they'll find us. They all seem to find us.
Well, then, that's one quick question here as my time is winding down. Competitiveness is very important for us, especially in the world stage here. And how has the CFTC ascertained whether its rules will cause U.S. firms or swap transactions to move overseas? And if you've made any determination there, what are you doing to make sure that we keep firms here?
Congress included in statute a provision to cover transactions that have a direct and substantial effect in the U.S., 722D. I know it well because I've read it so many times, and the lawyers are in. Most of the international banks have been in and say they will register as swap dealers because they are doing business with U.S. end users. So all of these major banks say they'll register. We still have a lot to sort through on this, and it's going to be very helpful to hear from the financial community as to, that we're covering the trades that have that 722D effect. It affects the U.S. Markets and the U.S. end users and so forth. We're also working with the international regulators to ensure the best they can that they adopt similar rules. A very close partnership with the European Commission, with the folks in London. Japan moved ahead of us. They adopted their rules last year. But we're working very closely. I think I'm going to be back there again in March, and the European Parliament is taking up their legislation.
So you do recognize that the rules that you make could affect whether firms decide to remain here in America or move overseas, and that'll be part of your calculation or part of your planning, is that right?
It is absolutely part, but we are, as mandated by Congress, to ensure that we cover those transactions that are happening with U.S. entities or have a direct and substantial effect here. So regardless, even if it's an overseas entity dealing with a U.S. counterparty, that overseas swap dealer is likely covered under the Act and will be registering. And most of them have come in and say they anticipate registering to deal with U.S. counterparties.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.